A boy slowly drew out a sword. As he was carefully examining it, the sword's owner snatched it back and seized the boy, accusing him of theft. The man declared that in Alexandria, thieves had their hands cut off. So, Batiatus took the boy outside and threw him into a pool. Facing the knife before him, the boy swore he was not a thief. He had only wanted to look at the sword.
Thief. How can you be a man of your word?
Just wanted to look at it.
Seeing the boy's determined gaze, the man told him to come back in 10 years, and he would give him a sword of his own. Just then, Ambrosianus, dressed in a white robe, appeared. The commander didn't say much. He simply ordered Ambrosianus to take the boy away.
Take the boy and go.
In our own good time.
A shirtless man nearby wanted to teach Ambrosianus a lesson, but ended up being thrown into the pool himself. Meanwhile, the commander noticed the mark on Ambrosianus' chest. The young man grew even angrier and picked up a stone, hurling it at Ambrosianus. Ambrosianus took the boy back to the palace, where Nestor urged them to leave quickly.
I can pass.
Romulus asked Ambrosianus about Odoacer's identity, and Ambrosianus replied that Odoacer was the leader of the barbarians. Odoacer's arrival this time was purposeful. He claimed to have fought alongside the Romans for the past 10 years, supporting their rule. Therefore, he demanded a third of Italy. Clearly, Odoacer's terms were not up for negotiation. At that moment, Orestes appeared. He believed Ambrosianus should not have taken Romulus out without guards. Ambrosianus looked at Orestes' nervous expression and said that he was just taking Romulus out for a walk because the weather was good. But Orestes remained furious, as the next day they were to hold an important ceremony for Romulus.
Sometimes I think you forget he's just a boy.
He has your blood in his veins, bloodline of the Caesars.
The next day, Romulus stood in the middle of the carriage and arrived in front of the hall under the attention of thousands of people. There he saw Aurelianus, the man who had accused him of theft and threatened to cut off his hand the day before. Today was the day Romulus would be crowned the youngest king of Rome. Yet, Romulus could not feel happy. He wondered how long he would survive at the pinnacle of power. In the past 5 years, 5 emperors had been killed. After the coronation, Romulus asked his mother a question. He wanted to know who would harm him. Ambrosianus said it was Odoacer, the barbarian leader. Orestes, however, claimed Odoacer was his ally, and that Ambrosianus was merely Romulus's teacher. With that, Ambrosianus was expelled by Orestes. Orestes took Romulus to Aurelius. Aurelius was the finest general and would henceforth be fully responsible for Romulus's personal safety.
He must do everything to protect me from harm, must he not, father?
Indeed, he must.
To the last breath.
And do I have your word on that?
You have his word. He is sworn to serve you.
Is this so, Commander?
As Ambrosianus left, it was Aurelius who saw him off. Aurelius asked about the symbol on his chest, which brought back memories for Ambrosianus.
A long time ago, in another land, from a man who loved only power.
Take care in the mist, Commander. It may hide what the gods themselves dare not look upon.
That evening, Aurelius looked into the distant mist, observing his surroundings. Suddenly, chaos erupted outside as the barbarians launched their attack. The barbarian army has reached the city, and Aurelius leads the defending soldiers in a relentless battle. The palace guards, outnumbered, are overwhelmed by the barbarian forces and killed one by one. Romulus witnesses the deaths of his father and mother at the hands of the enemy. Soon after, Romulus is captured. At dawn, Aurelius wakes up and hears cries from the city. Aurelius goes to Nestor's residence. Seeing Aurelius covered in injuries, Nestor eagerly asks for news of the young emperor. Aurelius tells him that Romulus's parents are dead and that his soldiers have also perished. He wants to know what has happened. However, Nestor says he only knows that some of his soldiers are still alive but are about to be executed. This is to serve as a warning to those who oppose Odoacer. Meanwhile, in the palace, Odoacer sits on the throne and receives an emissary from Constantinople. He declares that Rome has been taken and hopes the Emperor of Constantinople will recognize him as the sole ruler of Roman sovereignty and lands. The emissary, however, says he is only the eyes and ears of the emperor and cannot represent him. After the emissary leaves, Romulus is brought before Odoacer. Wulfila reminds Odoacer that Romulus has Caesar's blood running through his veins. He suggests that Romulus should be killed so that Rome will perish.
What do you see? Do you see a boy? Or do you see a Caesar?
I see.
Tell me.
I see a Caesar. I am Caesar.
Just as Romulus is about to be killed by Odoacer, Ambrosianus arrives alone at the palace. Ambrosianus says a city may be won with blood, but it needs a wise man to govern it. Hearing this, Odoacer sheathed his sword. In the palace, Odoacer questions Ambrosianus' identity.
Do you want to look a fool? Kill them both! Fool!
Your best hope for the future Lord Wulfila lies in silence! Give me your hand.
Thus, Romulus and Ambrosianus are exiled to the island of Capri, and Wulfila becomes Romulus's guard. The isolated island is surrounded by cliffs on 3 sides, with only one place to land. The island is heavily guarded, making escape nearly impossible. That night, Aurelius and Nestor come to the palace to assess the situation. Suddenly, a soldier appears. The emissary tells them that Romulus has been exiled to the island of Capri. Upon hearing this, Aurelius decides to rescue Romulus, but Nestor tells him the island is a natural fortress. Even so, he still wants to take the risk and try. The next day, they prepare to go to the island to rescue Romulus. The emissary's guard from Constantinople will act with Aurelius. Before heading to the island, Aurelius needs to rescue his soldiers.
When I get the signal, stop! I'm to take this one's head back to Rome. An assassin sent to kill Lord Odoacer.
On the way to the island, Romulus begins to miss his parents. Ambrosianus says everyone has their own destiny. Just then, a raven lands in front of them. Ambrosianus says he forgot to feed it, and Romulus finally realizes it was all Ambrosianus' plan. When Aurelius wakes up and doesn't see the guard, he finds the guard's clothes by the river. As Aurelius is about to leave, he hears a noise from the water. Aurelius doesn't leave. He calmly watches the water. Before long, a woman emerges from underwater. They look at each other, and the woman slowly stands up from the water. It turns out the emissary's guard is a woman. Everyone looks at the boat docked by the river, thinking about how to borrow it smoothly. If they all go together, they will surely scare the boatman. Mira takes off her helmet and walks toward the boatman. Everyone looked at Mira with disbelief. On the isolated island, Romulus enraged Wulfila and nearly got killed by him.
How many fingers will it take you to learn? Your fate lies in the palm of this child's hand, as sure as Odoacer is your master. Throw this boy to the rocks. He will follow.
After listening to Ambrosianus, Wulfila put Romulus down, but instead hoisted Ambrosianus up. Mira and Aurelius, in a small boat, had already arrived near the island. After being hoisted, Ambrosianus suddenly saw a sign he had been searching for. He shouted to Romulus, telling him to go to the temple and find what his ancestors had left behind. Romulus ran in the direction Ambrosianus indicated and indeed found a statue watching over him. Romulus pressed the statue's eyes with both hands, instantly unlocking a mechanism beneath his feet. There, he discovered a statue of his ancestor, Emperor Caesar, holding a sword tightly in one hand. Whoever possessed it would have supreme power. Aurelius and Mira used a rope to start climbing up to the island. From above, Ambracinus saw the two climbing up the fortress and focused his attention on a nearby stone statue. When the guarding man woke from his sleep, he found Ambracinus missing. Meanwhile, another guard spotted Mira and Aurelius. Ambracinus quickly dealt with the guard. After Romulus climbed out of the hole with the sword, he saw Wulfila, the man who had killed his parents. As he raised the sword, he was unexpectedly noticed by Wulfila. Ambracinus was surprised to see only Mira and Aurelius had come to rescue Romulus. They indicated that others would arrive later. Aurelius and Mira, who had come to rescue Romulus, began to split up. Mira took care of the guards while Aurelius went to the temple to find Romulus. Soon, the others also successfully climbed up the fortress, and half of the island's guards had already been eliminated by Mira. As soon as Mira entered the temple, she saw Romulus appearing with the sword. Then, Romulus led everyone to escape through the sewer. Aurelius had Mira take everyone away while he stayed behind to prevent the enemy from rushing in. Seeing everyone safely pass through the iron bars, Mira chose to go back and fight alongside Aurelius. Facing the approaching enemies, the two had no choice but to jump off the fortress. After everyone safely reached the shore, they met up with Nestor. To their utter surprise, Nestor had betrayed them and had set up an ambush with the barbarian army. Taking advantage of the ambush they had prepared, they began to shoot Romulus. The few guards beside Romulus desperately protected their last emperor, their final hope. Soon, with their mutual assistance, they managed to escape death, once again. That night, everyone began discussing the next plan, and Aurelius decided to seek help from the 9th Legion in Britannia to the north. After a long journey, they finally arrived at the far north. Ambracinus excitedly embraced the land. But when they arrived at the camp where the 9th Legion was stationed, the scene before them was disappointing. There was not a single person in sight. It seemed to have been abandoned for a long time. Just as they were feeling disheartened, a group of people who looked like farmers appeared outside the wall, wearing armor. After getting to know each other, Custennin asked Aurelius about the purpose of his visit. Aurelius told them they were looking for the 9th Legion because Rome had already fallen. Then he asked Custennin what had happened there. The other party told him that the 9th Legion no longer existed, but Aurelius did not believe it. It turned out they were soldiers of the 9th Legion, and Custennin was the general of the 9th Legion, Flavius Constantinus Marcellus. He said that the Roman emperor had abandoned them long ago, and they had to take off their armor and fend for themselves. There, a fierce legion often destroyed the surrounding villages, and the leader of this legion was Vortigern. He already had a kingdom in the south, but now he wanted to rule all of Britannia. The reason they had not been affected was that Vortigern considered them farmers, and not a threat to himself. Meanwhile, Wulfila, following Romulus, had also arrived there. He found Vortigern and told him about Romulus finding the sword with the prophecy.
Tell me about the man.
He is the boy's teacher. Acts like a priest. He is not Roman, maybe from Gaul or here in Britannia. He has a scar here in the shape of a sword.
Vortigern said that when he found the sword, he would hand over the boy as a gift to Wulfila, but the man could not be handed over to him. And so, the two struck a deal. In the forest, Mira and Aurelius were sparring. Their bond had deepened over this time together. Meanwhile, Ambracinus took Romulus to a refuge and then recounted his past. Ambracenus told Romulus that the mark on his chest was put there by Vortigern. His purpose was to know where the sword was, but the secret of the sword could only be known by those who possessed justice, so he fled. Romulus said that he was a Caesar without a country, and he did not know how to fulfill the prophecy.
Have I taught you nothing? Prophecy is an act of faith. We are the keepers of the faith.
Vortigern arrived at their village and found a girl. He had the girl deliver a message. If they didn't hand over Romulus and the sword, they would slaughter the entire village, and these children were a warning to the 9th Legion. The villagers began to grow afraid, and unanimously demanded that Romulus be handed over to ensure the peace of the entire village. That night, the villagers burned the bodies, their eyes filled with unease and sorrow. To them, Vortigern was powerful, and the disparity in strength was vast. If they were to resist, it would not be revenge, but suicide. The villagers decided to have Romulus and his companions leave the village. This war did not belong to the village. At this moment, Romulus revealed his true identity.
I am Caesar. We came asking for your loyalty, but Rome has not been loyal to you. Now, if it is the right path, and if it will save more lives, then I will surrender to Vortigern. Whatever is decided here will be my destiny.
Then Aurelius stated that at dawn, he and his soldiers would prepare for battle. He would welcome those willing to fight alongside him like brothers, and for those unwilling to join, he would bless them like brothers. At dawn, everyone began preparing for the upcoming battle. The little girl handed Romulus a suit of armor and told him it was what her brother had once worn. Everyone went to the fortress and began to fortify it. Romulus found Aurelius.
A boy once took your sword. What if he now offered you his in exchange?
I would use it well, and salute the Caesar to whom it belongs.
Aurelius told Romulus to always remember that he was Caesar, no matter what. Aurelius stood on the city wall and saw a large group of barbarians emerging from the forest. The difference in numbers was vast, but he did not give up. The battle officially began as the barbarians charged toward them. Neither arrows nor fireballs could stop the barbarians' attack.
They have the sorcerer!
That is no sorcerer.
At this moment, Vortigern's men saw Ambracenus standing on the city wall.
That is no sorcerer. That is the keeper of the sword.
Facing the chaos before him, Romulus did not hide. He joined the battle with a dagger. Soon their city gate was breached, and the close quarters combat was where the barbarians had the advantage. Just then, the warriors of the 9th Legion appeared. Seeing this, Aurelius' soldiers were excited. Vortigern chased Ambracenus to a tree and set it on fire. Ambracenus approached Vortigern from behind, but was unexpectedly discovered by him. They fought, and Ambracenus had the upper hand, tearing off Vortigern's mask with his own hands. Vortigern felt a pain, and was pushed into the sea of fire by Ambracenus. Then, holding Vortigern's mask, he told everyone on the battlefield that the tyrant, Vortigern, was dead. Everyone cheered, and the barbarians began to flee in all directions. Just then, Wulfila saw Romulus, so he chased after him with his weapon in hand. At the critical moment, Aurelius rushed over. Wulfila picked up the nearby sword and attacked him. Romulus took up the sword and approached Wulfila, stabbing him directly in the body. He had finally avenged his father. Finally, the soldiers of the 9th Legion also arrived on the battlefield, and the barbarians were defeated and fled. Romulus reclaimed his city, and with his young shoulders, he bore the weight of the entire Roman kingdom.
And all of you, the last of my legions, you won a great victory today. And now I say, no more blood. No more war!
Many years later, Aurelius married Mira, and they raised Romulus as their own child. Romulus became a wise king, and he married the little girl Igraine who had given him the armor. Ambrosianus also restored his original name, Merlin. From then on, the story of Romulus was passed down through the generations.